The Truth About Goblins. Chapter 41. At long last, the busy day had come to a close. Since Timothy hadn't come down to replace her, Saphira was drained. She wasn't mad at him for getting some rest, but she felt a little irritable after running the shop on her own for another full day. Her disappointment vanished, however, as she opened the door to the apartment. Even before she stepped inside, her stomach was growling from the smell. "You're right on time," said Timothy, piling some noodles onto a plate. "I'm sorry I didn't come to replace you, but I was hoping to finish this before you came up." "It smells delicious," she said. "Is it almost ready?" "Like I said, you came at the right time." He set the noodles down on the table. "It's just a bit hot." "This is wonderful," she said, dishing some food onto her plate. "Thank you." "Don't thank me." He sat down across from her. "I owe this to you, as well as an apology. I haven't been myself these last few days." She stared at him, frowning. "You don't owe me anything, Timothy. I don't understand why you would even—" He raised his hand. "Please, let me finish. I've been under a lot of stress, but that doesn't excuse my behavior. I've snapped at you, I've been unkind. And that night..." He caught her gaze. "I shouldn't have yelled at you." The color rose to her cheeks. "It's forgotten. Really, Timothy, it is. I don't..." She looked down at her plate. "I don't want an apology." "But I need you to forgive me. Saphira." He reached across the table and took her hand. "Look at me." Her eyes jumped to where his hand rested on hers, but she didn't meet his gaze. "Saphira?" "I'm sorry." She slipped her hand away. I can't stand seeing you like this, seeing you suffer." He said nothing in reply. She knew he was waiting for her to lift her gaze, but she couldn't. She couldn't look into those eyes anymore. "I didn't see it before," she said quietly. "Or if I did, I hardly caught sight of it. But it's all I see now, this grief." At last, she looked at him, and her heart was broken. "You're too young to shoulder such burdens." He couldn't force a smile, not this time. Instead, he rose from his seat, pulling a chair close to hers, and when he sat down, their knees were touching. "Young, old, does it matter?" he said. "A year, 100, 1,000. A man's age is his experience, what he has seen." He caught her gaze and wouldn't look away. "What she has seen." "Timothy." "You're not a girl anymore, Saphira. You haven't been for a long time." He leaned in closer. "You're a woman now. You're kind, you're strong. There isn't anything you can't do." She turned from him. "How can you say that?" He reached out, lifting her chin until their eyes met once again. "Because I know who you are, and what you're capable of." He hesitated, but only for a moment. "It's time you make your own decisions." Her pulse quickened. "What decisions?" Without dropping his gaze, he reached over and took both her hands in his. "I'm leaving, Saphira." She said nothing. "I can't say when, but soon I'll be gone." His fingers tightened around her own. "I can't stay here, not if I want my son to be safe." It was true. Of course it was true. It had always been true, and she had always known it. but hearing him say it proved to be a blow she wasn't prepared to suffer. I've gone through it, the thought of leaving. Over and over again, it's run through my mind. But Saphira... She couldn't look, but she had to. He wouldn't let her look away. I can't leave without you. She felt the tears coming and struggled to keep them back. Timothy... I want you to come with me. He pulled her even closer. Saphira, I wish you would come with me. I can make you happy, just like we are now. We're happy, aren't we? His voice was shaking. Say you'll come with me. She closed her eyes. This was too much, just too much. The words came out as a whisper. I can't. He didn't move. He didn't say a word. I can't decide. Not now. She opened her eyes. Can you give me until tomorrow? He sighed. Yes, of course. And then he backed away. Please, take all the time you need. I won't push you to decide. She nodded, struggling to catch her breath. Her heart was pounding. He rose to his feet, returning to his place at the other end of the table. I'm sorry. I know it's sudden. Don't be sorry, she said quickly. And please, don't take my hesitation the wrong way. It was just very... This time she sighed. Very sudden. He managed to smile. Her heart ached at the sight of it. He looked down at his noodles and picked up his fork as if nothing had happened. Without another word, he took a bite. How could he do it? Saphira tried to do the same. She tried grabbing her fork and staring at her plate, but the fork nearly slipped from her hand, and her vision started to blur. More tears. Always tears. Why was she always crying? She hated it. She threw down her fork and got to her feet. Timothy jumped in surprise. Saphira, what? I love you. Hey, hi, I'm your narrator, Miranda Eastwood, also the author of The Truth About Goblins. If you liked this chapter, remember to add, follow, or subscribe to this channel so you can hear the next one. And if you didn't like this chapter, oh well, I can't really do anything about that. In any case, I just thought I'd let you know about my Patreon. You can check it out if you'd like to throw some support my way. It would mean a lot to me. Not to mention there's loads of extra exclusive content that I only post on Patreon. While I'm at it, I'll mention that The Truth About Goblins is now available as a complete audiobook, and you can get it wherever you get your audiobooks. Thanks for listening.